Hello everyone. So today's video is going to be different than what I've filmed before. It's not going to be a travel vlog, it's not going to be a shopping vlog, it's going to be a makeup video. So I do have a lot of reels with my makeup look, but I've never done an in-depth video of how I achieve that look. Today I'm going to be following along this video from Chanel Sorrells on TikTok where she teaches you how to do the baddie glam, and I really want to try the baddie glam, so we're gonna do this together. So let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna start with first hydrating our skin because that's the most important step. So I'm just gonna put on some of my moisturizer, and then I'll also use the Glow Recipe Hue Drops. This is the Sun Glow one, so they kind of make your skin super glowy. So I'm gonna be using this combined with my moisturizer. I'm gonna apply those off camera. You can just see how hydrated my skin looks compared to before. So the next step is doing the eyebrows. So I'm gonna also do them off camera, but I basically only use two things to do my eyebrows. One is the eyebrow gel, another is the eyebrow brush. So I'll be right back. Okay, the eyebrows are set in place. Next step is going to be to carve out the eyebrows. So I'm going to be using the Tarte Shape Tape concealer, and I'm just going to be using a flat brush to carve it out. And then you might want to bring this down to the lid so that way we get that covered as well. Okay, now that they're both carved out, we're gonna set them with some setting powder, and I'm using the Juvia's Place setting powder, and we're just gonna set that on my eyelids. So the next step is going to be taking our favorite bronzer. So I'm taking my Juvia's Place bronzer, and I'm going to be using this one. And I usually just mix these two like that. And then you're going to be blending that in all over your eyelids. This will give it that sharp look, and then it will later come together when we apply the bronzer too. Okay, once this is all blended, we're going to need a darker shade than that. So let's see which palette I can find. Something darker. I'm going to use my Morphe palette, and I'm going to be using the brown shades right here on the bottom, and I'm just going to test and try to see which one gives me that look. Yeah, so I think I'm going to just go with this shade, Fancy That, and then just blend into the crease. Okay, now we're going to put some of the nude shades onto the eyelid. Okay, so the next step is going to be to create a tiny little eyeliner wing over here. Not too dramatic, not too much, just a tiny little wing. So just something like that, and I'll just clean it up a little bit. And I'll do the same on the other eye. Okay, I'm done with the eyeliner on both eyes. I'm just going to clean it up a little bit with the same brush that I used to do my to carve out my eyebrows, and it will just give it that clean look. I don't know if I should do my eyelashes now or in the end. How about we just do them now, right? So let's see which eyelashes am I going to use. I think I might just use these Ardell Wispies Light. Yeah, Wispy Light. So these ones is what I'm gonna use, and I use them a lot, so they may not be in the best shape, but they're the best. They give my eyes like such a nice look. So I'm gonna be using these, and actually I have a fresh set in here, so I'll just use that one. Okay, so I'll apply these off camera, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay. The lashes are all done, and you can see how good they look. Like, they're not too much, they're not too dramatic, but they're just right. So let's move on to the next step, and that would be putting on primer and doing the base. Okay, so for the primer, I'm gonna go with my E.L.F primer, and this is the Base Matte Power Grip. And I didn't know that they had this Power Grip matte primer. Oh, I don't know why it says Base Made Power Grip on this side, but it just says Power Grip Matte Primer on this side, but whatever. But this is a matte primer, and since my face does get oily, so I'm going to be using matte. You can use whatever suits your skin. And then I'm going to pair this with my Clinique, and this is my acne foundation. I do have acne, breaking news, so I'm going to be using these two for that. So let's start with the primer first. Okay, never mind. I just watched the video and she says to use something that is full coverage. So obviously I have to go with my Nars because that is the best, and I've used it a lot. This bottle has been through so much. But this is basically the best foundation out there. And this is the Natural Radiant Longwear foundation. And I'm going to be again pairing it with this primer. So let's do that. Okay, and I always apply foundation with a brush. So I first put some foundation on right here on the back of my hand, and then I dip the brush in it, and then I put it on my face like that. You can see how good this foundation is. Okay, so next up is the bronzer. We start from the forehead right here, and then you bring it into the eyeshadow like that, just lightly. And obviously we're gonna have to blend this. It's not gonna stay on like that. And then once that is done, then you just add more right here, like basically where your cheekbone is. And then we'll add some to our jawline as well. So forehead, bring it to the eye, cheekbone, a little bit over here, and then some on the jawline as well. So we're gonna do the same on the other side. It's all blended out now, and then we're gonna move to the next step. So next up is blush. So I'm gonna be using the E.L.F blush in the shade, I don't even know if these have shades. Oh, Pinky Promise. So this is the E.L.F blush in the shade Pinky Promise, and I'm gonna apply it right here. And just a little bit, because a little goes a long way with these blushes. And then I'm gonna take the blending brush for my blush. Okay. And to the cheekbone and under my eye a little bit. Okay, this side definitely looks brighter than this one, so I'm gonna have to put a little more on this side. And you know, it doesn't matter how much you put because it's gonna get blended anyways. So always blend, 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 blend. And same is gonna come right by my cheekbones and onto the under eye. Okay. It looks crazy now, but trust me, trust the process. Next, I'm gonna use the Patrick Ta blush, and this is in She's a Doll. And this blush has this liquid side right here, or I don't know if you call it liquid because it's not really liquid, but you know what I'm trying to say. So we'll use, it's not powder, right? So we'll use this blush as well, and we'll do the same thing that we did. Cheekbones, under the eye. And I really love this blush, it's just the best. Next up is the concealer, the brightening concealer, and then I'm going to be using the Juvia's Place concealer, and this is number 20 concealer, and I'm going to be applying it with obviously the concealer brush. Sorry, they're a little bit dusty. Okay, so we're going to take that, and it's going to go right here. And not too much into the blush. And then some of it is going to go right here on the forehead. And then we're gonna form this concealer line on our nose. I know it looks crazy, but just trust the process, okay? Going in with the Real Techniques brush to set that in. Okay. The blending is all done. So before we set everything up, we're gonna take a sponge and we're gonna just blend everything together. Okay, so now we're gonna set everything together. So I'm gonna be using a pinky brightening powder, and this is from Morphe, and this is a brightening pink powder. And I'm just going to put my what is it called, the sponge or the puff, yeah, the puff, and remove any excess onto my hand. And then I'm gonna set my under eyes. And then the same thing on the other side. That was it for the pink shade. And now we're gonna take something more closer to our skin shade. So I'm gonna be using the Laura Mercier translucent powder. And I'm gonna be using puff, removing the excess, and then set. I guess giving it that matte look is what makes it the baddie glam. So notice where I used the pink shades and notice where I used the more natural shades. Okay, so remember that same bronzer that we used to do the eye look, we're gonna take it back again. And now I'm gonna take my bronzer blending brush and we're gonna dip it in here and just apply to the same areas that we contoured. And this is going to bring everything together. I feel like I say that after every step, that this is going to bring it together. And yes, don't forget the jawline. And the important step is to take in a little bit of the bronzer and just bringing it into the eyeshadow so that it can just connect. Like that. That looks snatched. Okay, so for the blush, we're going to be using two shades, okay? So one's going to be lighter and one's going to be a little bit darker. So for the lighter shade, I'm going to be using the Juvia's Place, and we're going to be using this lighter shade. And then for the darker shade, I'm going to use the St. Patrick Towel, She's a Doll, and we're going to be using this powder one now. So let's do that. Okay, so the lighter shade is going to go like right on top, like closer to the under eye. And then the darker shade is gonna go right here, right under it. And just blend, blend, blend. And if you ever think that you put too much blush, just take a clean blush and remove the excess by just blending it out. Okay, so this can be skipped, but I really like doing this step is when you take the translucent powder or the setting powder and then you just apply it right here to just really sharpen it out. Like that. So this really cleans up the blush. And then always just brush it out with the setting powder brush. We can go ahead and go back to the eyeshadow and just like touch up a little bit. So with the same bronzer, the darker shade I'm going to use, and I'm just going to darken it up a little bit. For the lip combo, we're going to be using something brownish. So for the for the lip liner, I'm going to be using the ColourPop Lippy Pencil. And this is in the shade Control, CTRL. And then we're gonna first start off with the Cupid's bow. And then bottom. Okay, so before I apply my lip combo, I'm gonna set it all in with my Urban Decay All Nighter spray. So you gotta shake it a lot, or else it's gonna leave the little white dots. Okay. I always like to go with my fan to dry it off. I am going to be using my NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream, and this is in the shade Abu Dhabi. Blend this in with my Tarte Lip Plump. That looks so good. So that was the end of the tutorial. Let's get to close up. I'm obsessed. I think this is gonna be my new go-to makeup routine because just look at how it snatches all of my features up.